All right, we got to keep things rolling today. So much to get to on the show. Let's start with tonight's game as we move into the Pac-12 Prime Picks. A Friday night bout in Boulder. Someone should call it that. The bout in Boulder, although I don't know how much of a bout it's going to be. So in the range of outcomes I talked about on yesterday's show, I did in fact see and still do see a world in which Stanford could pull the upset here. It's not impossible. This is a Stanford team that took Arizona down to the wire. You could argue should have won the game. They certainly could have. They just didn't. That Arizona team has since gone toe-to-toe with two of the best teams in the Pac-12, Washington and USC. So it's not as if they're completely incapable, though against Oregon, and they did kind of look that way. And they've looked that way when they, lost to Sacramento State. And they looked that way, against USC. So this is a Colorado team that is coming off a real nice win on the road against Arizona State, who has a nice defense. And the Buffs, look, I loved them to cover last week. And they were on the cusp of doing so. And guess what? I'm doubling down on the Buffs. They are 11.5-point favorites here against Colorado, according to our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. And I think the Buffs are going to run away with this one. This Stanford defense is terrible. There's no other way to put it. David Bailey is a good defensive player. That is the only guy defensively I've seen that would start on basically any other team in the Pac-12. It is just void of the sort of talent needed to be a high-level unit on that side of the ball. Colorado's offense put up 27 points on the road last week. They have been even better at home, as everybody always is. Boulder's going to be a sellout because they want to see a win. And by the way, Colorado is on track to become bowl eligible this year, and this would be win number 5. They've already surpassed their season win total. Look, the Deion hype train is not what it was during the non-conference slate. Oregon and USC, especially Oregon, really put all that stuff to bed a little bit. But guess what? Colorado is still a team that knows how to move the football, that has found greater success running the ball in the last couple of weeks, particularly against USC 2 weeks ago on this field. I think they do that again against Stanford, who can't stop the run or the pass. I think Colorado scores a lot of points. I think the Buffs defense has actually been playing a lot better. They played pretty well on the road against ASU last week, and Stanford is in ASU's class a lot more than they are USC's, by a long shot. We saw that play out on the field. Colorado 38, Stanford 17, swallow the 11.5 at home. I think the Buffs win this game by more than 2 touchdowns. How about those California Golden Bears? What to do here? Now, I went back and forth on whether to exclude this game or the Washington State-Arizona game. I landed on excluding the Washington State-Arizona game from the Prime Picks, though a prediction is still coming a little bit later on. Cal is plus 10.5. It was once upon a time 13.5, which screams that Utah is the side. Here's the thing. Cal's defense this year was terrible against Oregon State, and it was amazing against Auburn. And it was good against North Texas. And it was good enough against Arizona State. With Nate Johnson at the helm for Utah in all likelihood, which is my presumption here and also my hesitation, I lean towards Cal's defense playing better than they have in other games this season, like Washington or Oregon State. This Utah offense, without Cam Rising, is not a Pac-12 contending offense. It's not the same team. They do not score a lot of points. I think this, much like the UCLA game, was a slugfest, and I think Utah wins because they are at home and their defense is still really good, and Cal has a 3-way revolving door of quarterbacks, and I have no idea what to expect there. But that number's still in the double digits. If you see it there, if it goes under 10, I'd stay away. But at 10.5, I'll swallow those points and ride the Bears plus 10.5, Utah 20, Cal 13. It could be even more low scoring than that. It honestly could be. Do not be surprised if Cal seriously pushes to end Utah's home winning streak here. Cam Rising isn't there. It's just not the same Utah team. Now, here is where I am a sellout to some, honest to others, not giving my actual opinion to others. There are a variety of opinions on this next particular game. Washington hosting Oregon in Seattle. Dogs are a less than 3-point favorite. Don't even have to give up a field goal at home. Great stat. 27-1. That's the home record straight up for Pac-12 favorites so far this season. I think that continues this week, and the home favorites get it done time and time again. I think Colorado wins. I think Utah wins, but Cal covers. And I do think Washington wins, 34-30. If this were a neutral site or at Autzen Stadium, I would like Oregon. I trust their defense more than Washington's. But this is in Seattle. The Ducks have struggled out of the gate in their 2 road games this season. I do like, as an Oregon fan, that they've played that close game against Texas Tech, because this feels like it's going to be that. But when you have essentially a toss-up of teams, which is what I feel we've got here with Oregon and Washington, both are really good, and after this week are going to remain number 1 and 2 power rated in the pack unless one team blows out the other, which I don't anticipate whatsoever. There's a world in which Oregon wins. There's a world in which Washington wins. I think we're living in the world where Washington gets it done because they are at home. Washington 34, Oregon 30, swallow the 2.5 on their home field. How about Notre Dame and USC? Notre Dame and USC. How about those Trojans on the road? No Zachariah Branch. Notre Dame in wounded animal mode. Weather might not be great. That favors a team that can run the football more. Look, Caleb Williams is the best player on the field in every game he plays. And it's why no matter who USC plays, whether it's Arizona State or Washington or Oregon, or Notre Dame in this instance, USC has a chance to win the football game. A pretty darn good one. However, this is them going on the road to play the best opponent they've matched up with all season long, even better than Arizona. I am always weary of teams that are lower ranked or unranked that are favored against a higher ranked team. USC's number 10, Notre Dame is 21. Notre Dame's a 2.5-point favorite. Why? Because they are at home. I think this is a bounce back spot for the Irish. They've had a tough slate to go through over the last couple weeks. They've had some really narrow losses. And I trust the Irish on both sides of the ball more than USC. Not offensively, perhaps, unless it starts raining. Who's got the better ground game? Give me Audric Estime. If he plays, I love the Irish. If he doesn't play, I like the Irish. I'll go Notre Dame 38, USC 30. No. Hold on. That's too high scoring for what the weather might be. I think this is lower scoring than people think. Notre Dame 27, USC 23. Lowest scoring game of the year for the Trojans. I think the rain plays a factor. I think Notre Dame tries to milk the clock. 27, I'm jotting that down right now. That is a live recording switch on my prediction. I had 38-30 and then thought, no, not quite. Notre Dame swallow the 2.5, 27-23. They beat USC. Last one, Oregon State against UCLA. Probably my favorite pick of the week. Probably my favorite pick of the week here on the Pac-12 Prime Picks, because Oregon State at home has been a different team defensively, and they have found a groove as of last week offensively with DJU in this passing attack. Now, this is a great test. I mean, a fantastic test for the Oregon State offense. This is the best defense they will have gone up against yet. Yes, even better than Washington State's, though that was a good one, and they didn't fare well. But they were on the road. This is at home. This is at home. Oregon State, over the last 2 seasons, has lost just one time at Reser Stadium. Chance Nolan threw 4 interceptions, and Caleb Williams still had to play Superman to win by 3. I do not believe this UCLA team can accomplish what USC did a season ago. I think Oregon State remains, outside of that one game, unbeaten at Reser here. They're a 3.5-point favorite. I will swallow that. And the reason I like Oregon State is the offensive line, which, is I'll get to wrap up today's show, I think is the best unit in the Pac-12 overall. The PFF grades reflect that in a lot of ways, and my eye test tells me that, and I like their talent, and I like them coming into the year. They've been exceptionally good. I think that neutralizes UCLA's greatest strength, which is their front four. Latu and the Murphy brothers, they will have their wins. They will have their moments. They'll sack DJU a couple times. They will not be able to dominate in the trenches like they did against Washington State. I like Oregon State here. Take the 3.5. Oregon State 24, UCLA 17. I think Dante Moore has at least 2 turnovers in a rowdy environment in Corvallis, and the Beavs keep their Pac-12 title hopes alive, and UCLA loses theirs, though the Bruins still a solid team this year. So, just to recap here. That's the word I was looking for. I almost said recuperate. I don't know why. Pac-12 Prime Picks. Colorado minus 11.5. Cal plus 10.5. Washington minus 2.5. Notre Dame minus 2.5. Oregon State minus 3.5. I am one game under 500 on the season. I would love for a 3-2. I'd be ecstatic with a 4-1. A 5-0 might make me jump for joy. I'll settle for a 4-1. Let's get over 500. No Washington State. I did not forget about you. I would never forget about you. And I have a prediction in that game and the reason why I stayed away.